So we've heard a lot about Congressman Peter King's American Muslim hearings, and we heard a lot of the complaints about why we shouldn't be having them. In the meantime, we've had multiple of these, quote, isolated incidents we hear so much about. They never seem to have anything to do with Muslims. They seem to have to do with white Americans, Christian Americans, and they barely ever even get into the news. And here to talk about it is Alyona Minkovski of RT's The Alyona Show. Alyona, first of all, why do you think that such clear instances of what is domestic terrorism just aren't being talked about?
Well, I think that there are, this is a multi-pronged problem here. If you talk about specifically Peter King and his hearings, or even if you look at stations like Fox News, I mean, these people have an agenda, right? Peter King is trying to prove that radicalization is only happening within the Muslim community in America. So he easily turns a blind eye to everything that doesn't fit into the neat little box of the story that he's trying to sell. I think at the same time, if you look at the media, I mean, we always talk about how the media in our country, unfortunately, has quite a bit of a short attention span. And, you know, another topic that I talk about all the time on our program is police brutality. We see these botched night raids, and they're always treated the exact same way as an isolated incident. And because I don't know if the media just is too lazy, if they have this, you know, like I said, short attention span where they can't put two and two together, but there never seems to be any effort to really go back, do a little, you know, digging a little deeper and realize that there is a systemic problem here. And, you know, thirdly, I think that, of course, it's always easier, and especially for people like Peter King, to, you know, paint the other as the bad guy, especially if you talk about the media. It's just not sexy to say that some white Christian guy went out there and perhaps threw a bomb through a Planned Parenthood window. It's much better if it's a crazed Muslim, right? Because it all depends on the way that we choose to define terrorism in this country.
That's right. I mean, the latest one is this Donnie Eugene Mower who firebombed, allegedly. We have to say allegedly, of course. We have to overuse that just in the abundance of caution. A Planned Parenthood center, vandalizing a mosque as well. Molotov cocktails are involved, middle of the night. I mean, and he left a note also that was very, very anti-abortion. The thing that I know people's palms start getting sweaty just in mentioning it, but that seems to be at least in the background here, is if we are going to have the same type of discussion about this as we do about Muslims, the word Christian inevitably has to be in there, right? And I think there's a lot of people who are very scared, on one side scared, and on the other side would absolutely eat alive and jump on the war on Christmas type stuff if this were to be brought out into the open.
Well, absolutely. You're totally right there. I mean, we can't possibly just, you know, look at one portion of Americans, right? Oh, wait, that's what we're doing right now with these Muslim American radicalization hearings. But it's always easier to pick up on, you know, a part of the population that's much smaller. If you talk about Christianity, that is just sacred. It's completely taboo. You can't touch that in America. We have, you know, the House right now voting on making "In God We Trust" the official motto of the United States. That's something that you can't suss out and, you know, try to separate from America in itself. So if Christianity is supposed to, you know, symbolize America and America's beginnings, I guess, as you could say, and at least that's the way that a lot of pundits, a lot of religious people, a lot of politicians out there would like to say it, then we can't look at Christianity as part of the problem, but we know that it is part of the problem. We know that there have been reports coming out, a terrorism statistics report earlier this year that said that there were actually more cases of terror plots since 9/11 by right-wing radicals than there were by Muslims.
Well, but you know that facts can't get in the way of the media reporting the narrative they've predetermined is what they're going to be reporting, you know?
Absolutely not. Who needs facts?
Give me a sense of when you hear the Peter King hearings, now we've gotten a little bit past them, will anything actually come of that? Is it just grandstanding? Is it so that later people can point and say, hey, we had the hearings for whatever reason, for future political posturing? I mean, I complained and was angry about the hearings to my audience when they were happening. But now in retrospect, I mean, what will they be used for? I don't even get it.
I'm completely with you there. That I don't even get it. I think that these hearings were a horrible idea. I think that it's, quite embarrassing, really, for America to be having these types of hearings, to be singling out American citizens, entire communities. But I think that if there is something that's going to come of them, it's only going to be negative, right? A large part of these hearings was supposedly to increase cooperation between the Muslim American community and between law enforcement. But I think it's going to do quite the opposite. It's only going to breed a lot more mistrust. Why would the American Muslim community now want to work with law enforcement if they feel like they're always being singled out, always being looked at as the bad guy? And so I just definitely don't think that it's going to do us any favors. And I hope that it will be looked back upon as this horrible idea, as it is, and as another dark time in history. But then, of course, hey, we already had McCarthyism too. Why do we keep repeating these things?
Yeah, and I agree with you. The only thing I'm concerned about is that not only will we look back at it as something that was just handled wrong, but what if we are actually, because of our focus on Peter King's American Muslim hearings, are actually missing real and legitimate threats that could end up harming the United States in a real way? It might not just be all politics looking back.
I think that's a very valid concern, too. Tonight on our program, we're actually going to be speaking with a journalist who did a deep look at the way that our local police officers are trained now in counterterrorism, right? This is a new initiative after 9/11. Suddenly we have millions, perhaps billions, there isn't a full figure out there, of federal dollars flowing towards these programs to train local police in counterterrorism efforts. But these people that are training them are not experts by any means. The majority of them have no background in Islam. They don't know anything about the religion. They don't have any type of a background in counterterrorism policies. And they go out there and they tell our police that this is a civilizational war, that this is black and white, that all Muslims want to take over America. And, if that's what you're teaching your law enforcement, then I feel like that is going to take the eye off of real, credible threats that are out there. These people, these supposed experts, are saying that you can tell a jihadi terrorist versus a peaceful Muslim just by looking at the way that his beard is shaved. And I think that that's the last thing that our law enforcement communities need to be focusing on. And I also think it's something that should be handled on a higher level than just local police.
Yeah, if we're looking at beards, if beards are the focus, then we're in trouble. Alyona Minkovski, RT's The Alyona Show. We'll be watching tonight, and I'll be on your show tomorrow, so I'm excited. Thanks again for coming on.
I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thanks so much, David.
Okay, bye.